Hello and welcome to LeisureCast. My name is Brian Crosgard. Here back today. It's been 3 weeks since I've talked to you, Josh Olswich. How you doing?
Good. For all those people who didn't know who Brian was, this is Brian.
Josh did a poll, and everybody answered who was Brian. Brian is Ledger. Ledger is Brian. Same thing. Just my alternate personality, I guess. Yeah, it's been a while, man. I was on vacation and forgot to tell you, and then we didn't record.
No, it's all good. I think the markets have also been
also on vacation.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's good to be back with you.
Except the S&P, that's not been on vacation, that's for sure.
S&P is down this week for the first time in quite a while, especially of that magnitude.
Imagine the panic. They just said recession is off the table and we done.
That's how you know it's beginning.
Cramer told me literally last night.
Biggest down week since March of 2023. And
Cramer said go all in up here.
Oh, Cramer said that.
Yeah. Is my audio messed up?
No.
We need to ask chat how my audio is.
I think your audio sounds good.
I think you secretly tweak my audio to be shittier than yours. That way, like, you just sound better. That's what I think.
I'm sometimes incompetent with these things, so
it's okay.
Ask me.
Yeah, but Cramer literally yesterday or the day before said, no recession. And then we've got, I don't know if it's JPM, I forget who it was today, just came out, some analyst, and said, recession. Yeah, JPM no longer expects a recession. I haven't talked to anybody all day. Got to warm up the instrument. No longer expects recession. And we fall 500, not 500 points, but 50 points. Anyway, it's just funny how that works.
National news talking about Dow points.
Well, Dow was up 13 days in a row. That was like last week. That's last week's news.
Somebody check on Johnny.
Is he a big Dow enjoyer?
He has been a big Dow enjoyer. Let's see, I got it right here. Yeah, it was going for a record.
The thing is, a lot of these charts all kind of look the same.
Yeah, but overall they still look great. We still just
they look fine. They look perfectly
fine. That. Oh my gosh, resistance right at the squiggle line, Josh. It knew.
Wow. Literally to the penny, the squiggle to the penny.
I didn't move that. This audience knows I did not move that. I'm just saying. It went. Invalidation was soon. Yeah.
But we've had people bearish since the beginning of the year on Legacy. They're still bearish. They're adding, right? They're happy to see us down. I think we do go lower, but I don't think we go as low as they think we're going to go. Anyway, the sentiment to me feels extremely bearish.
Really?
Still on Legacy. Crypto is like a dumpster fire, but Legacy, right? And people still bearish, justifiably so based on data, but the prices do not. like you can talk about macro all you want. You can have a perfect thesis. You can pick all your data, line it all up, and it's not going to matter. Prices are just going to do what they're going to do,
Yeah.
Eventually it might come back into sync. Eventually oil might go higher and inflation might go higher and markets might go lower and the Fed keep raising, blah, 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 right? But
we did go higher than I thought we were going to go.
Might not happen right now.
I mean, I was all for 4,300 on the S&P back to this 2022 level. And honestly, we just ripped right through that. But I do think that's a good spot to retest back to 4,300.
Do you know who was one of the few bulls since the beginning of the year?
Tom Lee.
Oh, he's always bullish, so he doesn't count. The answer is me. That's the answer.
Josh has been bullish.
I half expect people to just be sick of looking at this chart of the S&P that I've literally for months, like it hasn't changed. And what do you know? Not only did we go to the squiggle to the penny, but we went to the yearly pivot to the penny.
Oh no, really?
And
Everyone for pivots.
typically when you're rising wedging, bear diving into a pivot, that's not usually a great sign for continuation. So there's that. There was the inverted head and shoulders thing that we completed effectively, right? I mean, we hit the target.
Yeah, it's pretty textbook, honestly. Unless you are trying to go truly textbook, then it's not.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but we did get a series of
It's
higher lows.
yeah, it meets the basic criteria.
It broke out very strongly at the neckline, arguably. And now RSI is not looking so hot. So collectively, what's the cloud look like? The cloud likes 4,400, let's say.
To the downside, that's not that far.
Yeah, 4360, 4360, whatever that is. Still not bad. But yeah, chop, I think, is on the table for sure.
Well, I think it would be healthy to not have the stock market not go into price exploration right now. I mean,
Jungle Timo support. I read the chat. Ledger, he's too high
I'm
and
reading the
mighty.
chat.
I read the chat.
now. I have the chat up.
Also, by the way, Jungle Timo support sounds miserable for people who play League of Legends. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying? I got sidetracked by that name. It's just too funny.
I'm just saying, I think chop is a reasonably good thing. I feel like it'd be a little strange if you balanced a stock market and price exploration with an economy that is clearly pretending to be chop, at least. Like the economy does not feel like it's at an all-time high. So
I'd agree.
I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy.
Yeah. The U.S. credit downgrade, which
I forgot about that.
Dependent on your political affiliation, you may take it more seriously one way or the other.
Wait a second, you got to explain that to me. Are people politicizing the credit facilities as
I think
partisan?
I feel as though it's a partisan issue, right?
Really?
Because the White House is saying, like, why do this now? Like, everything's fine, jobs are fine, the economy's fine. Why downgrade us here? And then everybody else is like, what are you talking about? You guys are issuing debt like crazy, and it's only going to get worse. Your projections keep going higher. They're supposedly going to be issuing $1 trillion in debt the rest of this year. Like, that's a scary chart. So you're either on the MMT side where you're like, you know what, everything's going to be fine. We've got the power of the printing press. Who cares? Or you're on the, responsible fiscal path people side where that's just like, this is not sustainable, right? We're at what, 33 trillion almost? 33 trillion by July.
Gosh, another year, another failure. 33K by July. How did we not hit that? We were so close.
We were so close. We were a few percentage points off, I think. We were super close though. Anyway, US debt's out of control. But yeah, I think it feels like a partisan issue. I don't know about Fitch and like their political leanings or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's what it feels like to me, because you've got the left, people on the left just sort of ignoring it. Yeah, meanwhile, bond issuance is just out of control and just going to continue. So we'll find out. I don't know enough about bonds to know why people are freaking out about the 30-year, other than it's going higher, and it looks like it wants to go higher.
It does look like it wants to go higher. This is a monthly chart that I'm looking at. Yeah,
I guess the question is
a strong weekly breakout of consolidation.
Yeah, it looks like a version of the S&P chart, and it looks like Costco. It looks like QQQ. It looks like a lot of these charts. I guess the question is, who's going to buy our debt other than us if nobody wants it?
The rest of the world, they still like our debt.
We'll see. Anyway, jobs were good though. The fake jobs numbers came in. They were good. They were good. down to 3.5%. I think, is that right? I think so. I don't know.
Unemployment.
Yeah, unemployment. I saw Canada's unemployment numbers were bad, 5.5%. But anyway, yeah, this yield inversion stuff too. Like all the doomers pointing to it. I guess it matters eventually, but not now. It doesn't matter in the moment. It might matter eventually, but it might doesn't seem to matter in the moment.
I saw that we're up to like a 45 or 50% chance of another quarter point hike. That's what the market's pricing now. Did you see that?
55%? Is that what you said?
45 or 50% chance of another quarter point hike.
I don't think so. I thought it was at like 25%.
Oh.
Let me just look real quick. Look, if people aren't losing jobs, and if inflation is still above their target, yeah, they're probably going to keep raising. Now we have two CPI prints between now and the next meeting. And I think we have another jobs print, but maybe not between now and the next meeting. We should have one more jobs print. I only see it at a 10% chance.
Oh, good. Well, I'd like them to stop.
Why would you like them to stop?
Well, the market really hasn't had time to absorb what's already occurred, and I think you're probably not going to make a massive impact on inflation if you just stay flat on rates for like the next year and let the market absorb stuff. Versus if you just keep raising and then you find out you overcorrected and instead you have to start cutting immediately versus having the flexibility to do nothing for a while. From a real world debt perspective, debt is very expensive right now. Like to finance anything right now is hard.
Credit cards all-time high. Credit card delinquencies, I think, higher than 2008. Auto loan delinquencies, probably higher than 2008. Auto loan 48-month APYs or whatever, extremely high.
Wait, you said auto loan delinquencies are high?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be too surprising. You remember that meme video that was going around about all the people with like $1,200 car payments?
No.
It was a year ago. People were talking about how much their car payments are.
Well, now it's Airbnb real estate stuff. Like there are so many pockets of problems. Any one of those exploding could be the one that sets off
Airbnb real estate. So you're talking about like retail real estate investors with second homes. They're doing as Airbnbs.
Right, second, third, fourth with mortgages. Just like not only that, but Airbnb usage utilization, I don't know what that term is, it's also down. It's just everywhere you look, that's not even counting like commercial real estate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it from a commercial real estate perspective. I've been going through, I've dabbled in commercial real estate these past couple of years. I think some of our audience knows that. And been going through the financing process for redevelopment of some stuff. And it just is hard to make stuff pencil. It's you still have expensive construction. You still have high asset prices, purchase prices. You also have high rates. So you really need to have high rents to be able to make all that work. And to make it all work, like something's got to give. Rent's got to go up, but rents are already high. So the asset prices have to go down. The rates have to go down. The construction costs have to go down. Based on what I've learned in that ecosystem, I do think some of the construction's slowing down, especially with stuff that has lower lead times. Like, I don't think your big federal projects, your huge contractors that are planning things that they're going to do 2 and 3 years from now, they're not feeling it yet. But I do think your shorter timeline stuff is just hitting pause, and that's probably affecting construction teams who are trying to get work. So maybe people will start getting a little hungrier for work. As they get hungrier for work, things get a little more price competitive. But that hasn't really trickled all the way down yet. And so right now you still have basically all these same things. Transaction prices are really high. And debt's really expensive because now you're talking about loans at 7.5%, 8.5% interest rates instead of 5 or 4. That makes a huge difference in a commercial real estate deal, for example, for what it's worth for people listening. No different than if you're taking a mortgage right now, like, what was it, a year and a half ago, you could get a mortgage for 3%. Now you're looking at 6% or more. And that does effectively double your mortgage payment itself when you amortize that over 30 years. You double the interest rate, it's going to roughly double the mortgage, something like that. That's not perfect, but it's close enough, right?
Yeah, it's super unaffordable right now.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, we either need a housing crash, which nobody wants to happen, but you can't have rates this high and factor in affordability to that equation. It just doesn't, it's not how it works. You need something to come down. And this other question that a lot of people are talking about, like, at what point does the Fed's power of affecting the market even get diminished? Like, at what point are rates inflationary? That's a Lynn Alden question as well. I don't know. Like, they're taking the credit for this, right? Which logically it would make sense. We raise rates, inflation comes down. But I think the question many people are asking is, okay, how responsible really is the Fed for inflation?
I don't know. I don't think the Fed's done a horrific job.
They did a horrific job by waiting.
Yes, they waited too long. But by raising rates, they should have just raised them sooner, I guess. We haven't seen evidence of a hard landing yet, I guess is my point.
Well, what was CPI again? I feel like I should remember this, but I don't. CPI was like, what, 6% before they started raising? Because they're on the transitory train. Anyway, I don't want to rehash all that, but they were way behind the curve. And yeah, it's funny because the mortgage rates that people talk about, I think, are always like the best credit score, maybe not the average. So if you're not like, the best type of person to have a mortgage, you're further out on the affordability line, right? Because you get hit with a higher rate. It just gets harder and harder.
I thought it was more than this, but either way, $500,000 home value loan amount, $400,000, 20% down, 3% interest was your total monthly payment was $1,969. You go to, I think it said 6.7% interest was the estimate for today. That takes you to $2,864. So a $900, a 50% increase.
Not great.
Yeah.
You've got that, and then on the other side of the coin, you've got people, the golden handcuffs narrative where no one wants to leave because of the rates. So
now it's super true.
So now the supply of houses on the market is down significantly, and that's bringing prices up. It's a mess. It's a massive mess.
Yeah, why would you want to move right now if you've got?
Oh, I agree, but it's all part of the issue. Like, rates haven't affected those 30-year mortgages because they're fixed, right? So
yeah, and that's, for what it's worth, that's why people are talking about commercial real estate, not residential real estate, with being in jeopardy, because commercial real estate, which is more similar to traditional business loans, typically the loan period is like 5 years or so, and then you have to refinance it. It might be an amortization schedule of 20, 25 years, but your actual time before you have to refinance is only 5 years. And so people who were who financed anytime 2017, 2018, they're refinancing now and they're starting to get squeezed. And imagine
they're just leaving, right? We're seeing,
yeah,
I see a headline on that every week, some massive property that just says, no, we're not going to pay, or we're not going to renew. And that's,
but I think more important than those massive properties is all the little properties and all the little businesses where, like, say you're a small business and you use that example that we just did, you borrow $500,000 for your operating capital, and all of a sudden your payment, it goes up, $1,000 a month on reservicing that loan. then you're going to get in trouble. Or in the commercial real estate environment, you financed some deal and then now your mortgage is 50% more and your rent hasn't changed. maybe you're even having trouble filling your building, and you're being told you can't borrow as much money. You might have to bring cash to the table when you refinance because you over leveraged it in the first place. That's where the squeeze is happening. And I would like to see more time, to my point earlier about, I think they could just stop, like just press pause for a while. Just let some of that stuff get absorbed in the market so that you understand what the heck is going on. When they were raising, they're still raising, but when you're raising over and over again, but mostly when we were raising 50 and 75 basis points per time per go, that's huge adjustments to a market. Huge.
Well, again, that signifies how behind they were.
Yeah, they felt like it was an emergency because it could have spiraled.
Yeah. So now instead of, smoothing it out and people on this soft landing camp, I get it. But now we're dealing with this like crazy rubber band back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We can talk about this and have a feeling or a sentiment towards it, but at the end of the day, the market's going to market,
Yeah.
I just don't know how valuable, like realistically, macro is, right? If I want to trigger people, man, if I had a macro thesis at the beginning of the year that I would have brought into a trading environment versus TA bringing into a trading environment, the macro would have been carried out of the table months ago. So I don't know how these bearish people are still even here.
Well, what's worked really well? It's just make a trade decision at the beginning of the year, up or down.
Well, this goes.
Don't do anything all year.
This goes back to historically Bitcoin. The quarterly moves were typically up or down for the quarter, and that was
it.
The quarterly decision was made at the turn of the quarter, and that's that.
Yeah. I mean, if you just bought even Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's not done that well.
If you just bought a square of Manhattan in 1776, you'd be a trillionaire.
I don't know about 1776.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I get technical on you for a second?
Yeah.
1776, a square of Manhattan might have been pretty expensive, and the British pound was still the dominant currency, and the local paper was highly inflationary during the Civil War after 1776, after the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
The Revolutionary War, you mean?
Revolutionary War. And then so the currency really didn't bottom until like, I don't know, mid 1780, something like that. So it took a while before the currency itself stabilized because we were in massive debt during the war. Maybe like 1788, 1790, something like that. So really, when you wanted to buy that square, was with very, very cheap domestic currency before it, like at the end of hyperinflation. That would have been good.
Okay. So
buy cheap currency, then buy a square of Manhattan.
1805, let's say.
There you go. 1800. 1800 sounds like a great year to buy a square of Manhattan.
Okay, great vintage. That's all I got on the macro stuff.
Well, that's all we really have to talk about because Bitcoin's just had these like tiny weekly down candles for 6 weeks in a row.
Well, here's the problem. I don't know if we talked about this specifically, but we've got legacy pulling back. We've got crypto completely uncoupled on the way up and likely to recouple on the way down. That's just what's likely to happen. We've got issues with the curve hack. We've got
there's been big news.
Mega curve token selling. We've got Binance in big trouble. We've got potentially shenanigans between Binance and Justin and issuing stablecoins out of thin air. And then now we've got this Tether USD pressure. The whole market's a mess, man.
It is. There's been a lot going on, and we're getting more early America history in the chat. So read the chat. And Dave says Philadelphia and Boston were both bigger than New York, and that's true. Philadelphia was the biggest city in the country and was the capital of America for a short time, Andre. 10 years, in fact, where They moved the capital temporarily to Philadelphia. So I'm reading a biography of George Washington right now.
Oh, okay.
And
so it's fresh for you.
Yeah, this is fresh. This is not this top of mind Jed Bartlett knowledge. But yeah, so Washington was actually in New York at the beginning of his presidency, and they moved a planned 10-year tenure for the capital to be in Philadelphia, with the intention of a master plan for Washington, D.C. And so they moved to Philadelphia knowing that it was a 10-year time frame and that they were going to be doing city planning to create Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
Riveting. That's why it's so like what, Masonic or whatever.
Yeah. Well, also in that book, they were talking about, you know, in the hyper speculation that occurred around some of the, I guess they didn't call them land grants, but whatever it was, like the kind of rights to some of the development tracks and all this kind of stuff. And there was a lot of hyper speculative activity that people blamed on Alexander Hamilton. It's interesting.
Just a young kid slinging NFTs, man. Not much has changed.
Trying to create the First National Bank, trying to create debt systems. He'd be so proud now.
I think he would be proud. I think crypto would impress him, honestly.
Yeah. This is how boring Bitcoin is, but crypto news has definitely not been boring. I mean, the guy from Curve just selling
Fire sale.
vesting Curve to anyone who will take it.
Literally anyone.
Because he bought a $40 million house and can't liquidate that very easily to pay back his loans.
At this point, you got to assume the Curve, the token, is just done, right? Like it'll survive, but like price wise, I'm saying it's gonna.
That sounds like bottom things to me.
I mean, look at the accelerated emissions rate. Let's say.
Look at that.
The chart looks okay. I'll give you that.
I think this chart looks great.
I don't think it looks amazing. It doesn't
look great. It looks bottomy.
I don't think it looks amazing, but it looks okay. I'm just saying, when you put all of that into the wild and it's currently locked up, right, with those people who purchased it.
Justin Sun gave him his word. so did Maki Big Brother.
Yeah. Andre's right. There was also a mini bank failure 2 weeks ago that nobody really talked about.
Yeah. Can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah. If it's not in the billions, nobody cares. Sorry.
Tens of billions.
Yeah. So Curve, I don't expect Curve. I expect it to have some sort of ceiling, like going forward, just based on the token emission that happened, right?
So there's a lot of shorts on Curve going on, and maybe that's what there's some short covering going on finally. But if there's still a lot of shorts out, I would expect those shorts to get blown out.
I think it's a tradable range. I just don't think it's a buy and hold. That's all. Like that could be a falling wedge. It could be some sort of parabolic thing that happens there.
Blow off.
Yeah.
A blow off bottom. I've never actually heard that term.
A power bottom.
A power bottom, I've heard. You hear about blow off tops. You don't hear about blow out bottoms.
It's just a question of who's going to sell their stake first, right? Whoever blinks first is going to blow up the market. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think Curve the service, the DEX, whatever you want to call it, is probably going to survive. But man, that token, I don't know.
Yeah, the token has a little bit of drama on it now, for sure.
Yeah.
Not good when the founder is having to like just find any counterparty in the world to sell at a 50% discount to.
No. And I saw multiple chats. I saw people, real or not, I don't know, but multiple chats, people were peddling that that OTC deal. So
yeah, I saw it as well in a couple, which means it was probably everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Curve's product is amazing and is a core tenet of DeFi, and
for sure, it's a pillar.
Hope that it continues to be so, but that was not a good day.
No, well, ultimately it was because of that hack exploit. Is it safe to call it a 0-day? I don't actually know.
I don't know. The Viper contract thing.
Yeah. And this is the perpetual fear with
I
anybody.
think that was 0 day. I think that's fair. 0 day.
With anybody in DeFi is like, okay, what's the attack surface? I don't know. It's probably huge, but you don't really know. You have to be so specific to know what's going on with the Curve ecosystem and like all these smart contracts. Like the amount of people that were able to exploit that, I feel like is like a handful of people in the world, you know? Like that is highly specific knowledge.
Yeah, it is. I think you'll see stabilization of it over time, but I want to continue to see products like these work. And Curve itself, I guess, is working fine. It's just the founder got over leveraged, or what actually happened is his collateral just became worth less and less. I mean, he was probably taking these loans when Curve was worth $3, $4, or $5. So when all of a sudden it's worth 50 cents, your collateral ratio is not near as healthy.
Say it with me. Whales are bad.
Whales are bad.
If you owe Curve $100, it's your problem. If you owe Curve $100 million, it's DeFi's problem.
Yeah,
that's what it came down to.
Yeah, and some DeFi OGs came to back him as well. Arthur 0x was talking a lot about it. If anybody wants me to put the whales are bad thing to the test, you're welcome to give me lots and lots of valuable coins. I'll be a whale of whatever coin you want me to be a whale of. Just send it to LedgerSats.eth and we'll put it to the test. I might dump on you though.
The sad part about this Curve stuff, the Curve hack, is that the lending and borrowing tokens had all looked really good. Aave looked really good. Maker looked really good. Maker still looks pretty good.
Yeah,
comp looked good. But now, since this news, everybody's sort of uneasy about it, and yeah.
I fully round tripped my Aave trade. I bought it in this range, rode it all the way up, didn't sell any, rode it back down.
Hey, it still might work out if this loan stuff can get figured out, which it looks like it might. Maybe it'll be okay, but I think people are rightfully nervous as to what's going on.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable to me that it was possible for Aave to carry that much bad debt. Like it could still have survived as a token or as a protocol, but there was an opportunity for them to have bad debt because they had too much debt that was centered on one liquidation price. I thought Aave was a little more durable. I thought all the lending protocols were a little more durable than that, but there were some weaknesses there for sure. Comp was also doing really, really well. I don't know that he had a bunch of loans on Comp. I didn't hear it brought up, but they had several weeks of really interesting price action, like a lot of buying, and kind of killed the party there too.
If you zoom into that, there's a really good 4-hour Head and Shoulders that I think broke down.
Ooh, look at that.
Not perfect, but
yeah,
it's there. It's still there.
Yeah. So I was
go to Maker real quick. Maker actually looked okay. I can bring it up too.
Then I don't keep Maker. I still Maker's still pretty much at the.
Maker looks stronger than the rest of them, while at the same time, I was getting some blow off vibes. What I don't understand about Maker is I thought A16Z was fire sailing theirs.
I think it's been being absorbed.
Right. It must be.
But they're done apparently. I don't think they have any more coins.
Which is good. Get the whales out of here.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Oh, wow.
Get out of here, whales.
More importantly, Degen Spartan 36-month bear market ends this month. It's over. Or this is the last month, something like that.
Here's the thing. We're too small to have whales not affect price. So when something inevitably goes wrong, price suffers because of it. So
that's another thing. Thanks to the chat, Toaster in the chat. Josh, did you buy Bald?
No.
Me either. I was planning to. Well, I was just on vacation. I was too lazy to do. I was trying to figure out how do you bridge because the bridge wasn't even open. They opened it today actually, and the only way to do it was to the test bridge, which required just sending ETH from chain, not an exchange, to a contract address, and then it would just pop up somewhere. And I just was on vacation, couldn't be bothered, forgot, and I was like, "Oh no, it's base season. I'm gonna miss out on base. I need to go buy all these pieces of junk over on base." And then wake up the next morning and everything's rugged. It's like base season is over 12 hours later.
Not only was it a rug, but more likely than not, some sort of Alameda employee, potentially Sam, but probably not. At least SBF.
It's
Maybe
not Sam. They I don't even have. I'm gonna pull up Dex Screener or something.
it's Trabuco or somebody, but
No, they've doxed the person. It's
what
it
did
was
they?
Milky Way, somebody like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
How dare I besmirch
Yeah, we're
those
discovered.
people's good names?
So the reason they were discovered, this Milky the ball deployer was actually an old wallet that had some random interactions. Zach XPT found an old transaction where Mike McDonald had sent this person $50,000, and it turns out that was from a bet from a long time ago. And Mike's bet was with this Milky Way person. But the ball deployer was also like voted on all the sushi stuff, had 8 and 9 figure deposits and withdrawals from FTX, all this other stuff. And it looked a lot like an Alameda employee. And yes, CL met them in person. Someone from Canada, I think, is all he knows.
Can I ask a dumb question about how this keeps happening?
Sure.
How does it keep happening? How are rugs possible, and why? Like, is it just simply like a smart contract thing where we're pulling liquidity and we check a yes, that's a 1 instead of a 0 or something?
Well, literally, I mean, look at these names. Basically, you hear like, oh, people are moving to base, and somebody pointed out, hey, $40 million has moved to base in the past 24 hours compared to like $4 the 24 hours before that,
Right.
And they're like, uh-oh, we better get over there. Somebody with money made a decision. And so there's this race to create token. You don't know what to buy over there. So instead, you just buy the thing with the dumbest name and then hope it takes off. Or you spread out and buy, $500 of a bunch of different things. On base right now, Bobby token is the most active. I don't know why. El Meow is number 2. Base Pepe, X token, LK99. People are just basically trying to create.
People are basically.
Yeah. This LK99 is down 100% 24 hours. So I guess it rugged. Liquidity, $33. So there's these dumb tokens and people don't know what's what, and they're just trying to play with memes because they don't even know what's being done there. It's obviously
one, it looks just like Binance Smart Chain effectively, as far as like the meme nonsense. And 2, I'm sure the SEC is gonna love whatever's going on base.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Coinbase saying, it's completely decentralized. We are not a security exchange. I don't know, man.
Oh, I remember part of the other thing that happened on base is everybody was talking about like LeetSwap was the place that was the swap, that was with the DEX people were using. Then it turned out the LeetSwap contracts were all rugged because you could screw those up, and so like LeetSwap went to 0, and so did all the pools on LeetSwap. So I don't even know where these pools are.
So my question is, there's got to be some sort of filter. If you're Coinbase and it's your layer 2, I know we're like outside of the realm of decentralization at this point, but there's got to be a way to prevent this stuff. Got to be.
I don't know. I mean, it's sushi now apparently on base. Thank you to Might as well. Yeah, good.
I did hear about the LeetSwap, but I didn't realize it was base until a few hours later, and I was like, oh wow, that's just Meanwhile, you have Brian on Twitter Brian Armstrong talking about how everybody should enjoy blah 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 about base, and it's like, okay.
Well, it's somebody take Coinbase. they're probably gonna be like, "Oh, we're so excited. People are excited to use this chain." And it's like,
Well,
no, they're
what
not.
my question
They're
is,
excited to use Base. They're just excited to Ponzi on, like to they would just want to be early to a Ponzi.
exactly, what did they expect? What is their best case scenario, and how did they not see any of this coming? Or maybe they did and they just don't care. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
This doesn't help them though.
there's
That's
going to
what I
be
don't understand.
99.9% spam as you try to figure out what's real. So eventually you'll have real tokens and real activity, and whatever happens on a normal blockchain will happen on this blockchain if it succeeds.
Yeah, but we're
And
talking about real money now, And for them, don't they get some sort of transaction fee? I saw a bunch of tweets about, this is going to help their bottom line at Coinbase because blah, blah, blah.
I mean, if it's a successful L2, then I'm sure it will.
I could just see it now, some sort of class action lawsuit against Coinbase for allowing something like this.
No, that's ridiculous.
All right. I don't know. I'm too litigious. I'm too much of a SEC patsy.
It's just software. There's
Software,
not
bro.
even a base. There's not even a base token or something.
We rugged, but it was just software, bro. Come on. It's just beta, bro.
I don't know. I'm just saying, for the first time in a long time, I had some real FOMO. I had FOMO for 12
for
hours.
the record, I do not. I will not touch this stuff, but I hope everybody gets rich. And I also saw the Powerball's up to what, 125 billion or something.
I don't know.
1.25 billion. Sorry.
I just know for at least 30 minutes, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to buy first? Bald token, Optism, Leap Swap.
You're part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. You're part of the problem.
I got excited, and then I just went to bed. I woke up and I saved some money. If you can't wait 24 hours before you do something, probably not a good thing to do.
Probably not.
It's just good to sit on those decisions for a little while sometimes. And Gula says, I'm in the trenches. No, I want to be back in the trenches. This is like somebody that used to be in the trenches. They're not in the trenches. They look fondly back at the trenches. And you're like, yeah, but then I'm going to get my boots dirty.
Or get rugged.
Trenches again.
Clearly getting rugged. Yeah. Anyway, get this crap off your screen. I don't want to be associated with this.
And we can go to some of the other.
Look, it's cool. It's fun. I'm happy it's a thing, but people losing money, I can't feel good about. So,
well, everybody knew what they were opting into when they went there.
Did they?
Yeah, sure. Maybe not that. People were saying, okay, so I got one more thing. They were like, oh, it's so bullish. You can bridge to base chain, but you can't bridge out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good sign.
You couldn't get out. So they're like, they have to keep aping stuff because otherwise, where will the money go? And then Leap Swap got that bug. And then the same person on Twitter was like, I guess now we know. It's not a rotation game. It's just sayonara.
That's what they should have called it.
Amongst the rest of this, people were talking about other stuff, and I didn't even realize this was a thing, but apparently MetaMask has a layer 2, and somebody else has they're talking about Mantle and Linea, and I guess they were getting tens of millions of dollars bridged to them too.
Guys, we've got infinite block space. Okay.
Infinite.
And layer 2, we're gonna have layer 3s, 4, 5s. Why is ETH worth anything? What is ETH gonna do? Who's gonna use ETH?
ETH is gonna have the most important block space.
Who's gonna use ETH?
Now,
how does ETH go up?
I will say, all these chains, like these, just feel like heavy VC bags to me of empty block space. Very cathedral type designs of like, oh, look at our scalability and blah blah blah. There's like, nobody wants to use these. I'm sure one or two layer 2s or alt layer 1s or whatever will do very, very well and figure it out. But I think a lot of these are just going to end up being like your 2021, 2022 VC funded equivalent of Bitcoin forks, where it's like, why do you need that blockchain? You don't need Feathercoin. Feathercoin is just Bitcoin tech by a different name. And that's what a lot of these L2s are going to end up being.
I think a lot of the L1s are going to.
Well, yeah. But like a lot of the block space, a lot of the things that establish block space.
Polkadot already abandoned their auction system.
I don't know what that means.
Basically, if you wanted to be a project on, check and yell at me if I'm wrong, but if you wanted to be a project on Polkadot, you had to win this auction So you had to effectively lock DOT
No one
tokens.
was bidding on the auctions.
Right.
I couldn't have seen that coming from a mile away.
You had to lock up tokens for X period of time to use. Like, it makes sense, right? You're like renting the block space, but yeah, if block space isn't scarce and no one's actually bidding on it, then yeah, it's a problem. But all these Aptos, Sui,
I don't even know what this is. Mantle. Don't know what it is, but it's got some pools on here with $3, $4, $5 million worth of liquidity.
I don't know. I can't be upset anymore because I realized this is just people trying to make money. People don't care about, at the end of the day, they don't care about anything fundamental. It's just shitcoinery. That's okay. It's not for me.
It's such a large playground still.
Look at all that block space. That's all I see. Just a massive column of block space that's going to be unutilized.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it, but I'm not really.
Well, as Dink is saying, like, fees on ETH are a problem, and we saw what happened when block space was at a premium.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. One of these is going to take up a lot of financial activity once people remember that ETH block space is pretty easy to fill, and that it actually gets filled. But you really need to see proof of ETH blocks getting filled.
But isn't that just a fee race to zero? Because, if Binance Smart Chain is zero fees, effectively.
I don't know.
Still
burning lots of ETH, though.
I don't know about lots. I saw a great comparison. The US money supply M2 has actually burned more than ETH has since proof of stake.
Oh, come on.
Just hilarious. It's true. Look at it. Look at the numbers. Can we talk about charts for a sec?
Yeah, but before we do, I mean, look at supply growth ETH per year. I mean, this is a deflationary coin.
Okay, tell that to the price. Like, I'm with you. I'm with you on the fundamentals.
To the price.
Yeah, I'm with you on the fundamentals, but man, nothing's happening. I'm not saying something won't happen.
It's a deflationary coin with nothing happening. This thing's going to 10,000.
Okay, chat, clip it and ship it. I was thinking about this today. I'm like, does ETH need zero rate environment to do well? Is that the only way it can succeed? I don't know if ETH does well in a positive rate environment.
Okay.
This high. I don't know.
Show me.
We've never seen ETH in this kind of rate environment, right? We're living it.
We've never seen anything in this kind of rate environment.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
one more note though. People got really upset with us, as in they found some clip of us talking about that Unibot. And then me and you. You didn't see this?
No.
How did I see Twitter mentions that you didn't see?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't mention me.
Well,
people often say, "Who's that guy with Brian?"
They mentioned us, and they were laughing at how we just don't understand, and
how Uniswap's all bots. Is that
no? It was you and I offhandedly were talking about Unibot. We were reading the Unibot website. This is a Telegram bot for Uniswap, and it went up 2x or something, or 3x after we talked about it, and people came back and mocked us, as they'd love to do, because we were making fun of it. Like, why do I need this? And certainly, why does it need a token? Whatever. And then, of course, 3x's. And they're like, ha, 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 look at these morons. So I'm just saying, they were clout tweeting us. They were probably doing it.
I was so high in my ivory tower. I just didn't see it.
They were probably doing it on July 27th, if I had to guess. Do you know what July 27th was?
The high.
Yeah. And a little bit outside of that, but still, yeah. People were giving us a hard time because we were making fun of Unibot when it was $50 million market cap, and now it's $130 million market cap.
Might have been Monday.
I was just going to say, congratulations, Unibot buyers. I am very pleased that you made money. Good job. It doesn't mean I care about your token. I'm all about you having a successful trade. So good job.
Look, there's just too many tokens, too much block space, not enough inflows, rates are too high. The list could go on and on and on. There's something brewing with, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. There's something brewing with all of the stable coins. I don't know if somebody is here's the theory, right? We're issuing some sort of fake stablecoin and then cashing out through USDC.
Huh?
I don't know.
Somebody thinks we're issuing fake stablecoins
Yeah,
and then doing swaps with USDC and then cashing out USDC.
yeah.
That is a really smart scam.
It's well, if you look at how USDC is getting drained, it's potentially a viable strategy based on the data. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying like maybe TUSD. I don't know. You know, I've seen a lot of like investigator threads about it. I'm not saying I'm a believer, but it's interesting proposition. I also looked today. So 10 billion, half of the ETH circulating supply for USDC is kind of super visible. It's like the top 100 addresses. But the rest, like the other 14 billion of it, I'm not really sure where it is, unless it's just super highly distributed. It's all like on the blockchain and accounted for. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's just odd that there's very little in DeFi. There's very little in centralized exchanges.
It's just sitting out there.
I don't know where it is. BTC though.
Yeah, show me charts.
Yeah, this is BTC Cloud. Like
Nope,
it found
it's kind of a no man's land. It's neutral.
Yeah, I'd say it's more neutral than not. Definitely in the no man's land territory. If I'm looking at the Kijun, the cloud, right, we're almost there. But my other question is like, is there people just TWAPing out at every high? I don't know. This whole Binance stuff to me is just problematic because it's just a massive unknown still. You know, it was a big unknown when all the market makers sort of pulled out of Binance US. And since then, we've just gotten more like negative regulatory and legal stuff. So until that's resolved, I think it's hard. It's going to be hard for this market to just go up just on that alone. But Bitcoin looks okay. It's just
chilling.
I'm just worried about, you know, this diag, right? Is it some sort of, are we going to see some sort of mega hyper volatile down move once we break that level? You know, that's what I'm worried about. That's what keeps me up at night. ETH, same thing. ETH has all sorts of bearish stuff on it, even though it's still within its, you know, it's massive like ascending triangle. It just I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's using ETH right now?
Me.
besides you and me. We need like, you know, real people to use it. We're just not seeing it.
I don't know.
It would make more sense that ETH goes higher based on the tech than lower. But we're still seeing people throw money into staking and it's done nothing. Like you said already, we're seeing burns haven't really had an effect. I don't know. What's it going to take?
Sideways is okay, Josh.
Sideways is okay. That's true. Maybe I'm just too impatient. I don't know. My goal is to not blow up until 2025. You know, stay alive for 25. That's the goal.
Not blow up until 2025, or you're going to blow up in 2025?
Hopefully not blow up at all. But, you know, get to 2025 alive, because that's a year after halving. And that's historically when we've seen, you know, a cycle peak.
You know, the real estate people have a saying around that too. And they say they have a little better alliteration. They say survive until 25.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's true of crypto too. So, you know,
basically the entire world is banking on rates going lower. What could possibly go wrong?
It would really be a shame if rates stay high forever.
Remember when inflation was transitory?
I remember.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll leave it there. I wish you the best, Josh.
You too. It's like, where are you going somewhere?
No.
You say that to somebody when you're leaving them.
You too, dear listener.
Wish you guys the best. peacing out, cashing out.
Yeah.
No, I would. The stuff around regulatory's got to clear up. The stuff around Binance has to clear up. The stuff around Deltec and Tether. I'm not saying Tether's in trouble. I think Tether's actually fine. I just think someone's selling stables and or Tether to cash out with USDC. That's the running theory.
Yeah. I would like to see a little volatility, and by volatility, I mean number go up. It doesn't have to go up a ton. I just need a spark. I need a spark, Josh.
It's going to be hard to go up with legacies crumbling, but
crumbling.
It's the biggest down week since banks exploded, right? On S&P.
Wow. Interesting. I guess we'll see. The S&P ran pretty hot.
It did, but markets are not happy right now.
All right. Well,
and it's also one last thing. It's not good if markets never bottom on a Friday historically.
Oh, so you're gap down Monday.
So we likely continue down on Monday.
You heard it here. Gap down Monday. Turn around Tuesday.
New money Tuesday.
Okay. Good. Good luck. See you later. Hit like and subscribe and stuff.
Monuments crumble.
Oh, I forgot to show you my Pudgy Penguins hat. Look at that. Boom. Got the igloo. See ya.
You can't flex on us that hard, man.
Yeah.
It's
good
just
hat.
run dry in a house of cards. I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe. Oh, the chains, oh, the chains.